listening to the We Can't Wrestle podcast. Now it's time for our host, Kate Maxson.
Hello, wrestling fans, and welcome to episode 167 of the We Can't Wrestle podcast. Nate Maxson, your host, here with you, and I am joined by a cavalcade of co-hosts this week. As always, my brother Aaron is here.
What's up, it puppets?
And as well as the host here on the WrestleNet radio podcast of If You Smell What the Arch is Cooking, my good friend, Mr. Archie Mitchell.
What's up, everybody?
And we are joined this week for the first time on the We Can't Wrestle podcast by the host of the newest show on the WrestleNet Radio Podcast Network, Mark's Indie Spotlight. Mr. Mark Brew is here. Welcome to the show, Mark.
Hello, everybody. I don't have no, catchphrase, but I'm here.
Yeah, he doesn't have one yet.
Welcome to the major leagues, boy. You got to bring something.
You'll come up with one. It's good. Yeah. It's work on the gimmick. It's all right. It's good. This week, of course, we are going to continue our journey through the Pro Wrestling Illustrated 500, the first one from 1991. Last week, we left off at number 221, and it was a doozy. It was Chip the Firebreaker at 221.
Oh, God.
I don't remember what we said about him, but I'm sure it was disparaging.
I'm absolutely positive it was.
Yeah, it had to be ridiculous because it sounded ridiculous. With the enthusiasm he said.
You know what always bothered me about him? Not to really go back, but
where do we start?
But his tag team partner was Todd Champion, like the most boring, lackluster character there could have been. You know what I mean? And they were basically the Village People.
They were the ambiguously gay. Is what they were.
That too.
I don't think it was ambiguous.
Yeah.
The obviously gay duo.
They were the straightforward gay duo.
Right.
But yeah, we'll be starting at number 220 here in just a moment. But Aaron is going to start the show off. We're going to have a little dedication at the beginning of the show this week.
Yeah, guys, and like I was saying, I don't want it to be like a somber tone or anything like that. But we lost a member of our family today, and if anybody says that an animal, whether it's a cat, a dog, anything, isn't a member of your family that you've taken care of and they've taken care of you for years, I'll smack them in the fucking mouth. We had this little dog. Her name's Sadie. She made it 15 years. We lost her today, and I just wanted to dedicate the show to her. And she was the smallest fucking dog you could see, but she had the biggest heart. And she would be outside. If she was outside and somebody walked by the fucking yard, even though she was caged in, she's like, "Now!" The phrase of it's not the size of the, how do I say it? It's not the size of the dog in the fight. It's the fight of the size. It's the size of the fight in the dog. That was fucking.
You got it,
man. Like she would protect this fucking house. Like she didn't give a fuck if it was a fucking truck, that was driving by. She's like, no, get the fuck away. She didn't care.
The little ones always have the Napoleon complex anyway.
Yeah, she didn't give a fuck what she was running to. And every day when I would come home from work, the door would open and she was the first one to fucking greet me, just jumping up and down. And I'm going to miss her a lot. And just, if you have an animal, take care of it. And if you don't want a fucking animal, don't have one.
Right.
That's the other fucking thing that
I don't understand people that have a dog and then they keep it outside and outside all the time. Why do you have the dog?
Yeah,
what's the point?
And I'm not even saying that when I'm saying farm dogs and shit like that.
Right.
It's like that dog can run around, do its thing. But if you live in town, you have a fence and all that shit, don't fucking just leave your dog outside. And like I said, I don't want to talk too much about it, but I just wanted to say that this dog had been my fucking, other than my brother, has been my best friend for fucking 12 years. And I didn't understand people honestly being sad about a dog or an animal dying until I met that dog. You know what I mean? And she was fucking loyal. She'd be there for you every fucking day, and they're so expressive with their fucking eyes. Like when they look at you and you look at them, you know exactly what they're fucking thinking, and all they're thinking is, you're my person. I fucking love you, and I loved her, and I just wanted to say a couple kind words about Sadie. And even if we say some off the wall fucking funny line today, Nate's told me that this fucking show tonight, it's just going to be Sadie, and I want to dedicate the show to her.
Absolutely.
Like
and I kind of said that. It was funny that you said that, Aaron, because I kind of said the same thing earlier. I texted our aunt to console her about it, and I said, Sadie was a good girl. Sorry for your loss. And she said, she was a good dog, but she did bark a lot, just kind of lighthearted, and I said, but she barked out of love because she was protecting you. That's the whole thing. She was trying to protect her people and protect her space.
And like I said, I didn't want to be depressing about it, but it didn't hit me until last night when I watched her try to find water, because she had lost her vision and she could barely walk, and her bowl was super small, because she was a small dog. And she knew where the fucking water was, but she couldn't fucking find it. And that's when it was like, God damn. And I cried like a fucking baby. And I got a straw, brought the water through the straw, held my thumb on it, so you can keep it in there, and was at least able to not her last drink of water, but I was one of the people to be able to hold her and at least give her one of her last treats in life. And not that water's a treat, but you guys know what I'm saying.
Yeah. And Aaron said he didn't want to make this a long thing, but kind of the same experience. Archie and Aaron, I don't know if Mark, I don't think you and I were buddies yet when it happened, but with my wife and I had this old, very dramatic cat. I used to say he was a drag queen because he was a very dramatic cat and he was very old. And he decided, in grand him fashion, because he always had to be the center of attention, he died on Christmas this year. He went into the day before Christmas Eve. He started the whole "I'm gonna die," and then at Christmas Eve all day it was just he's dying. And then we got up Christmas morning and he was dead. And he was like, "Because you're never gonna fucking forget me." But I had the same kind of thing as Aaron did. I had to that last day. I'm trying to get the water in his mouth because he was just laying there. He couldn't do anything. He couldn't move. He couldn't, and you want him to be comfortable at least.
Yeah. And I'm not going to agree with the drag queen thing, because what I'm going to say is what I think. If reincarnation is a thing, I think when pricks die, they come back as cats because they're just whatever. Knock this over, knock that over. But when the people that you love and the kind-hearted people come back, they come back as dogs. So I don't want to say they're drag queens, because I'm pretty sure I'm going to come back as a cat. Because I am a prick. But I'll be the cat, and Nate'll be the dog. That's next. Hey, dog, how you doing?
Regulate.
Only fitting.
All right, well, this one's for you, Sadie. The Pro Wrestling Illustrated 500,
Thanks
1991.
Thank you.
Absolutely. We're a family here. Let's go. 220. Number 220 in the initial Pro Wrestling Illustrated Top 500, Larry Oliver. 6'2", 260, 1-year pro, son of PNW star Rip Oliver teamed with father to win the PNW tag titles. Bigger and stronger than his famous dad, improves with each month. I've seen plenty of Rip Oliver. I don't know that I've ever even seen a Larry Oliver match.
He must suck so bad that they didn't even take pictures of him, because on the Internet Wrestling database, he is not even pictured.
No photo available.
And they're like, we ain't got no Larry here. No Larry. No Mr. Larry.
I have a distinct feeling that Larry Oliver is not the actual child of Rip Oliver. He was just a guy that was trained by him, and he was like, you're a big son bitch. Let's see if I can get a couple more years out of my career with you. And then it didn't happen.
Yeah.
You'll be my illegitimate son.
Hey, it was better than the Von Erichs.
We'll go on to another better ending, I'm assuming.
Right. I mean, oh, I'm terrible.
Triumph and tragedy. We'll go on to another obscure.
Mark was looking like he's like, did that guy commit suicide? Let me know.
They're like, we don't even know how he died. There's not even an obituary for this motherfucker.
I mean, if they didn't take the time to put him on the Internet Wrestling database, they probably didn't even put a picture in the obituary.
Another obscure quote-unquote family member, 219, Todd Morton, 5'9", 223, 3 years pro, cousin of Rick Morton, has the same high-flying style, has teamed with Rick in the past, competes semi-regularly in Tennessee, has trouble against giants. Anybody got anything on Todd Morton?
Who doesn't have trouble against giants? Wait a minute.
Hulk Hogan, brother.
I guess so, but
Andre the Giant was 700 and Andre the Giant was 702 pounds. There were 77,000 people in the Pontiac Silverdome.
He was 9'5".
Yes, Hogan loves to exaggerate. You know what's ridiculous about it, and I think Jim Cornette said it before. Hulk Hogan exaggerates, and he doesn't have any reason to. Look at his career, and you know why?
The most extravagant fucking life in history. Like, why do you need to fucking lie?
The reality is cool enough, man.
He's the John Lovitz of wrestling.
yeah, that's the ticket, brother.
Brother, that's the ticket.
Well, apparently, the only thing really noteworthy I can see throughout his matches is that he lost to Chris Hero.
Well,
wait,
Chris Hero, as in Cassius Ohno from NXT and Indie Chris Hero?
Yep.
Damn, he's been around since 91?
Since before 91, because in 91 he was 3 years pro.
Well, how old is Chris Hero?
Well, Chris Hero's been wrestling since the mid-2000s at least, like maybe 04, 05.
That's what I'm saying. How long has he been around? Jesus.
This happened on January 4, 2003 at
okay.
Wave Mid-South.
Ah, okay. That makes sense then.
Number 218 is Larry Sharp. We all know who that is. 6'3", 260, 17 years pro, famous around the world for being the man who originated the Monster Factory, operates pro wrestling training centers in New Jersey and Ohio, still competes on occasion. Larry Sharp, great trainer, shitty promo, shitty wrestler.
I agree 100%.
And Creeper promo pig. Have you seen it?
No, sir.
My God.
I love Mark's real-time commentary on these folks. I love it. But the most I've seen of Larry Sharp, to be honest with you, and obviously, like I said, great trainer. He trained some great wrestlers. I've seen a few of his matches. I wasn't impressed. And then when Bam Bam Bigelow first came into, I believe it was World Class, because Larry Sharp trained him. He was with Bam Bam, Larry Sharp was. And it was like, why are they having this guy do the... Yeah, that's pretty bad, that promo pic there. Why are they having this guy, this Larry Sharp fellow, speak for Bam Bam when Bam Bam can speak for himself fine?
Oh, no.
Aaron finally saw the picture.
No.
No.
Looks like those tights would have skid marks.
Ew.
Or like a...
Damn, man.
A moose knuckle. I also feel bad for Larry Sharp, business consultant.
They go to Google that shit, and then they're like, "Are you the same guy?"
Like, we saw your moose knuckle. We
we
don't
want your consultation.
Yeah, we don't care about how you want to fucking streamline our internet. You gross son of a bitch. And he's like, that's not me. I'm the libertarian nominee for the governor of New York. I'm not the fucking bleach blonde moose knuckle you saw.
Damn you, Sadie. I can't call this episode Bleach Blonde Moose Knuckle. Number 217 is King Cobra. 6 foot, 240, 11 years pro. Vet shocked sport by capturing the USWA title from Jerry Lawler in 1989. Has slowed down in recent months. May be the most perfectly balanced of all Memphis wrestlers. Does anybody know who King Cobra was? I do not.
No.
Looks like
Because I've seen stuff with King Cobra in Memphis footage, but I don't know if he was somebody or what. If he ever became someone else.
he looks like a buff Rick James.
Looks like a buff.
A buff Rick. There's another great name for the show. Buff Rick James. I'm Buff Rick James, bitch.
How about
He asked Jerry Lawler, what the 5 fingers say to the face?
whichever one you pick, put Sadie and then put it in like featuring
No.
bleach
Just leave it
blonde
as Sadie.
knuckle or black or Rick,
Black. Oh my god.
Black Rick James. What?
Rick James.
Number 216, this guy was horrible. Charlie Norris, 6'7", 285, 3 years pro, full-blooded Chippewa Indian, is a rising star. Trained for the sport by Eddie Sharkey, won a tournament to become the Pro Wrestling America champion in 1989. He is tons of Tatanka. That's what he is. He is Charlie Norris, the big fat Indian that was on WCW.
I think I said this when we mentioned Sam Houston on another episode, and I said I always thought that they should have made a tag team together, Sam Houston and Charlie Norris. You know what I mean? Call it like Cowboys and Indians or Lone Ranger and Tonto or something like that. You know, he was bad though. He was big and clumsy.
There's literally only like 4 matches on the database.
No, I mean he had a run in WCW.
Oh yeah, he was around forever.
Yeah, I mean that's all the matches that are listed are from WCW, and there's 4 of them.
He was one of them schlubs that just sat around fucking center stage waiting for somebody to tell him to go out there and fucking lose to Kevin Sullivan. He was a piece of shit.
Number 215, hey Bubba, it's Colonel Mustafa.
Yeah.
6 foot, 262, 18 years pro, formerly known as the Iron Sheik, former WWF champion, has fallen a long way. Now a lackey for Sergeant Slaughter. Age and bulk have decreased suplex skills. Okay, so I always thought there was a missed opportunity with this story. Because they brought the Iron Sheik, who everybody knew the Iron Sheik was the Iron Sheik.
Right.
And they do, when he first debuts, his first debut match, they acknowledge that he was the Iron Sheik, and they come up with some cockamamie scheme as to why he's Colonel Mustafa now. Mm-hmm. But I don't know why they didn't just say, Sergeant Slaughter, because Iran and Iraq hate each other. Something to the effect of Sergeant Slaughter's and General Adnine are so influential or whatever. They got the Iron Sheik to turn on Iran or whatever and join them. I don't know why they didn't just do that instead of doing the goofy Colonel Mustafa deal.
Because I like you said, like they were gonna call fucking tugboat Sheik tugboat. He were gonna use the word Sheik, so just make him the Iron Sheik.
Yeah.
He's probably, I enjoyed his in-ring stuff, but I really enjoy his fucking Twitter.
Yes, his Twitter
is amazing.
And his before he started getting to the point where he doesn't do them anymore because of his health and stuff, man, some of his shoot interviews are wild. There's one with him, New Jack, and Honky Tonk Man. That's like one of the craziest fucking shoot interviews you've ever seen in your life. Like you can tell New Jack and New Jack and that's the one where literally while they're doing the shoot interview, their drugs show up.
Yeah,
you know, and like there's a knock at the door in the hotel, and Jack goes and gets the drugs.
Fucking Sheik goes off about Abdullah because Abdullah was running a chicken and rib joint at the time and wouldn't give the boys a discount or free food. And he's like, fuck Abdullah, fuck him. He won't give the boys a break. And New Jack's like, tell him kiss the ring, bitch. And Abdullah, or fucking Sheik's like, kiss the ring, bitch. And then New Jack's like, fuck you, Larry. Calls him
Larry.
by his fucking
God.
name. By his shoot fucking
name. Yeah, fuck you, Larry.
Larry. Give the boys a break. It's fucking great. And Sheik is a fucking national treasure, man. Like, I know he had fucking demons and all that shit, but I never heard of him being like hurtful to his family.
Yes, I was just about to say that. Like, yes, he had his addictions and he had his problems, but he wasn't like a Jake Roberts piece of shit that never saw his kids, you know, or had kids that didn't even find out that he was their dad until X amount of time or X years or whatever. You know, Sheik was a partier. That's all there was to it. You know, but like Aaron said, I've never heard anybody say anything malicious about him or that he was a prick or anything like that. And he totally respected the business, you know.
Or I love when they talk about Vince bringing him in there and being like, Sheik, you tested positive for cocaine. It's like, yes, positive. Thank you, Mr. McMahon. It's like, no, that's bad. Oh no, positive is good. It's like, no, like you've tested positive.
The thing that I like so much about him is he don't care who he pisses off. He's going to say what's on his mind. And people like that, the transparent people that, you know, you don't have to wonder what they're thinking. They're going to let you know, and it's going to be, you know, straight cookie cutter. It's whatever. It's whatever.
No bullshit. Yeah.
And he got over on WCW. They forgot about him. They forgot that they had signed him. George Scott had signed him to a $100,000 contract, and they fucking forgot. And he had a rollover clause, and they fucking forgot that fucking Iron Sheik had a contract, and it fucking rolled over, and he got another year of $100,000. Good for him.
Archie, any final comments on Colonel Mustafa?
The only thing I think they could have done, and I guess having the star power of the Iron Sheik helped in the feud, but maybe put a mask on him in the beginning or something just so that it wouldn't have been so obvious that it was the Iron Sheik. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But otherwise, I liked him. I've always liked the Iron Sheik. His Twitter is fantastic. The Father's Day post to Hulk Hogan was incredible just now. Happy Father's Day to every living human being except for that fucking asshole Hulk Hogan. That was like, yeah, perfect. You know?
So, I was just about to say, we'll round out our discussion of Colonel Mustafa by saying, fuck the Hulk Hogan.
Yes.
All right,
number one. 214. Third greatest Hall of Fame, WWE Hall of Fame induction ever.
Peace. He's like, peace. Have a nice day.
Have a nice day. That's how he ended it. Have a nice day. Peace. Great.
Man who has lived a life. 214 is Doug Masters, 6'1", 230, 1-year pro, impressive PNW rookie, teams often with Steve Sawyer, surprising strength for a man his size, has engaged in a classic matches against the grappler. I'm not. I don't know who. I'm not a big. I don't know a lot about, especially '90s Portland. So I don't even know about.
There's a lot of PNW guys in this fucking.
Well, I think because there was kind of a little bit of a resurgence of Portland in the very early '90s, but it just, I don't know. I didn't see any of it. So,
Doug Masters. Do you mean the kid from Iron Eagle with Wisconsin Jr.? No, all right. Never.
I think you might
never
be
heard
off
of him.
base. You might be off.
Yeah,
base.
I think I might be. Yeah, Iron Eagle was a good movie though.
213 is Ken Wayne, 5'8", 208, 14 years pro. Confusing, though talented. Sometimes scientific and sometimes not. Teamed with Danny Davis as the Nightmares. Still claims the Southern Light Heavyweight title. I had not seen a lot of Ken Wayne until I watched. Last year I went back and watched a lot of the Continental stuff from Alabama in the late '80s, and him and Mike Davis were actually a really good tag team.
Yeah, but his description is like confusing, but not high flying, but not. It's like, what the fuck is this guy? He's
ambiguously Ken Wayne.
Ken Wayne. Walking contradiction, partly truth and partly fiction. It's like, what the fuck is it?
Chick magnet.
Evidently, he had
Or
an
not.
identity crisis.
He's the
Because he's
man
got
in
like
this
9 different ring names right here.
You said
I wonder
5
if he
different
made it-
ring names. A lot of those.
9.
Oh, I was going to say a lot of those Southern Territory guys. You know,
I feel like Ken Wayne might have been running from the law.
Right?
I'm not Ken Wayne. I'm Wayne Ken. You ain't heard of me.
Yeah. It's like, oh, hey, man, we heard some guy named Ken Wayne shot a bitch in the face in Alabama, and he was like a super high flyer. So he's like, I gotta bring it down. I gotta do some groundwork. I'm gonna do me some Dory Funk here. And they're like, oh, that can't be the same guy. He's like, no,
Like,
I'm not
literally.
Ken Wayne. I'm Wen Kane.
It says American Eagle 1, Galaxian number 2, Galaxian Alpha, Ken Wayne, Master of Terror 1, Nightmare number 2, and Tiger Mask.
It said Tiger Mask.
Yeah, that'll fly.
He was one of the Tiger Mask. I highly doubted.
He said, I'm Tiger Mask.
No, you're
They
not.
asked
You're
him-
Ken Wayne. I said I'm Tiger Mask.
They were like, are you the guy that shot the bitch in the face in Alabama? And he's like, huh. You know,
Konnichiwa.
Obviously wasn't.
Konnichiwa. Me no understand.
He's like Konnichiwa Saki Sushi.
Yes.
Number 2,
Benihana teriyaki.
number 212 is Apocalypse. 6'4", 265, 4 years pro. Teams with Destruction as the Blackhearts. Sizable team has honed skills during frequent Japanese tourneys. Currently managed by in UWF by the devious Luna Vachon. Of course, this is Tom Nash. I believe it's Tom Nash at this point.
Yes, it is.
Teaming up with Gangrel, David Heath. You guys ever see? I mean, I know they were only there for like 3 weeks, but did you see their weird but cool ring entrances in WCW?
Yeah.
Yeah, they had
They came out like
fire
druids.
in their hands.
They
and
had
shit.
they did like the entrance where they were both looking at each other with the white masks, but because they were all wearing all black, you just saw the masks, and that was they were cool. And the thing that and I know we discussed it. What was it? The UWF pay-per-view we watched?
Mm-hmm.
AWF.
AWF, yes.
No, you're right. No, sorry, you're
No,
correct.
they were
Okay.
on the UWF. Yeah.
I don't know why, but I dug the screaming thing because it was just odd. It brought the attention. Like these guys are just screaming like banshees for no reason, and I'm like,
Right.
whoever came up with that, that's a brilliant fucking idea. You know that
It's
keeps
always
people's
the shit that
attention.
catches you off guard that you enjoy the most because you're like, that was different. You know what
Yes.
I'm saying? Like that element of surprise really.
Because you see these two guys come out in black masks, black tights. You're thinking like the Spiders or whatever, and then they just start shrieking. And you're like, okay, I'm interested
What the
now.
fuck is going on?
Yeah, this is great.
Are they on meth? What's happening? They have no teeth. What the fuck is happening?
They've got a shopping cart full of copper wire and hubcaps. What the fuck is going on? All right, 211. Steve Sawyer. Nope. Swift rookie has become a favorite in PNW rings.
They was like, nope.
Nicknamed Bart because of his resemblance to the cartoon character Bart Simpson. Tries
That's
to stay
funny.
within
Bart
the rule
Sawyer?
book.
So
Huh?
Bart Sawyer?
I don't know.
I just know that Bart Sawyer got called like Bart because of whatever, but I didn't hear the name you said. I was just thinking about like
Steve Sawyer.
the meth head Blackhearts.
I think we can roll on to 210, right, guys?
Yeah.
210 is Stephen Dane, formerly known as Stephen Casey. Spectacular debut in battling Eric Embry for the world class light heavyweight title in 1988. Has also competed in WCW.
He looks like a knockoff Van Hammer.
I remember him somewhat, and I mean, yeah, I gotta agree with Mark. He looked like a bootleg version of Van Hammer, and I think maybe that's why he wasn't around for so long because they were like, no, we can't.
Van Mallet.
Yeah.
Van Hammer is a bootleg version of Van Hammer.
like my best description, just by looking at the picture, he looks like if Van Hammer and Barry Windham had a love child.
Van
Oh,
Windham.
God.
And they had
Van
like
Windham.
ramen noodles for hair.
Wait a minute, isn't that Bo Dallas?
Because every time I see fucking Van Hammer, I'm just like, this is a fucking meathead with ramen noodles for hair.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's, fucking Kenny Omega looks like they deflated Van Hammer.
And then inflated him with packing peanuts.
And shitty fake wrestling. All right. 209, Terminator. 6'2", 270, 4 years pro. If you're in Japan, Georgia, Florida, or the IWA, chances are you'll find this claw hold specialist. Debuted in the UWF in 1987 under the management of General Skandor Akbar.
It's Animal's brother, right? It's Animal's brother. Like, people don't understand how deep Animal's family went in that business.
Really? So he had more than one brother? He had more. John Laurinaitis wasn't his only brother?
Yeah, Terminator. He was. They're a they're a 3 deep family in there.
Damn.
Apparently, his other brother is getting real deep recently.
Yeah, $3 million deep.
Figure it out.
I have one qualm with a couple of names we've heard. We heard Juggernaut and we heard Terminator.
Sorry. I had a
It's
joke.
okay.
I had a joke.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm thinking about that chick going, "What are you gonna do to me tonight, Johnny?" And he's like, "Figure it out." I'm gonna figure it out. Sorry.
We heard Juggernaut and Terminator, and then both guys were like 6 foot. If you're gonna put yourself that badass of a name, be 6'5" and 320 pounds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're walking around. Arnold Schwarzenegger was a monster in the movie Terminator, and you're 6 foot. That don't work. You know.
Arnold Schwarzenegger's only like 5'9".
But he was muscular and he gave off a bigger appearance, Aaron. You know.
The illusion.
They had lifts in those damn boots. You can't tell me that.
But yeah, Terminator. He's in the Laurinaitis family, and I can't talk much about Terminator because I don't know a lot about his career. But I think Animal was an underrated big man wrestler. I really do. I think like people talk about like Bam Bam and Vader and all those guys. I think Animal's underrated, even though I know he's like everybody's like, oh, LOD, Road Warriors, great tag team. I think that dude was fucking really good in the ring, and I think that his kid at some point is going to be a wrestler. I really do.
Once his football career is over. Yeah, I could agree with that.
Like as far as Animal goes, like I enjoyed seeing the whole Doomsday Device thing, but like that fucking Power Slam, like nobody's done it like him ever.
And like I've watched that, like watched it like 97, like I, because you know I'm like talking about 97 right now on my show. Like he's hitting like drop kicks and he's fucking in that fucking ring and he's getting it with fucking Owen and Davey, and it's like you ain't no slouch if you're fucking rolling with those guys. You know what I mean? So,
man, I'm sure he's going to come up in this list. I'm assuming.
Oh, I hope he does.
Number 208, Ricky Santana, 5'10", 235, 9 years pro, longtime favorite turned bad in 1990. Held the PNW tag titles twice in 90 with Curtis Thompson and Al Madrill. Returned to WWC after being suspended from PNW. One of the things that
Al Madrill? Jesus Christ.
Al Madrill looked like he'd be selling you a used car.
Yeah, how stanky was he in 91?
I always, like, that was one of the kayfabe things from the magazines that I fell for when I was a kid, was I thought Ricky Santana was actually Tito Santana's brother. Like, the magazines convinced me that was Tito Santana's brother. It was not Tito Santana's brother.
Shit, if you look at the picture, you're like, that could be anybody's cousin, you know? That's
Right.
Number 207, Octagon, 5'6", 170, 3 years pro. Gains greater popularity with each Mexican match. Masked like the great stars of the past, but displays agility like few before him. Recently toured Japan and Europe. I dig Octagon. I mean, everything I've seen of him.
I agree. He was a good high flyer. He definitely set the stage for other wrestlers coming into the United States and you know, showing off that lucha style and that Japanese style. So yeah, I enjoyed him.
And just the whole I guess we can call it a costume, but you know, that whole look, it was different, and I enjoyed that.
Mm-hmm. 206, Cheetah Kid, 5'9", 230, 10 years pro, high-flying African masked man, has been compared to many Japanese stars, famous for his daring leaps to the ringside floor, major talent waiting for a big break, and I don't think he ever got it.
It was Rocco Rock.
Yeah, I was just going to say, is that Rocco Rock?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, Lottie Dottie Dottie, he likes to party. There you go.
Yeah, so technically he got his big break made, but just not as a Cheetah Kid.
He got it by looking ridiculous in his pajamas with Johnny Grunge.
Right.
All right.
Right. But hey,
the promoter was like, "No, you don't cheat a kid. You give them what they paid for."
That works.
Oh, Johnny. Yeah.
You don't pay him now or later. You pay him in the moment.
If you want to hear our opinion on Public Enemy, listen to Reliving the Extreme, because there's a lot of Public Enemy material on there. Number 205, DJ Peterson, 6'4", 245, 6 years pro, teamed with the Trooper to win the AWA Tag Team title in 1990, but has competed little since. A fine blend of science and power, former Central States favorite. One of the guys from the dying days of the AWA.
They sucked.
But wasn't that promotion always dying?
Yeah.
It seemed like it.
After like 81.
Yeah. They had some bright spots with like Bockwinkel versus Henning and the Midnight Rockers versus Rose and Summers. But other than that, pretty much garbage. Boring.
Oh shit! He tag teamed with Owen Hart in New Japan.
I knew he had a little run in Japan, but I couldn't remember any of the details.
And also lost to Axe and Smash on Superstars of Wrestling.
Nice claim to fame there.
I like that. I like that Mark's like putting in the effort.
We just fuck around.
Like, we're just like, I don't know that fucking guy. Fuck him. And then he's like, oh, I'm doing research. On the spot research and shit. And I'm just like, Fuck that guy. Hope he's dead.
Number
Oh God! Oh God!
Well, I mean, to me, it's interesting to see, not necessarily some of these names, but who they were.
yeah.
Yeah.
Number 204, Tom Brady. One of your favorites, Archie.
Oh yeah!
6'2", 231, 6 years pro, one of the top stars in the East Coast independent scene, boasts a powerful drop kick and remarkable scientific skills, has wrestled in AWA and CWA. Go ahead, Archie.
I met Tom Brady one time, and I didn't know what I know. Like I didn't know what he did that show. He was there as Salvatore Sincere, and he wrestled Jimmy Snuka in a tag team match. And then he was also in the main event, but not as Tom Brady or Salvatore Sincere.
And
He was the Patriot that night, and I didn't know he took over the gimmick.
He didn't take it over. He stole it.
Well, he stole it after Del Wicks passed away. But, I mean, I didn't know it was him until he came out to sign autographs. And my nephew, because it was his birthday, had a Patriot vest. He grabbed it for him, and he signed it. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? He's like, what? I'm the Patriot. I'm like, dude, no, you're not. He's like, yeah, I'm the Patriot. I'm like, dude, stop it. You're Johnny Gunn. You're
He's like, I'm the Patriot. Sincerely.
I'm like, damn. It ruined my life after that.
Like, just looking at this stuff, though, it looks like, and I hate to have to use this term, but he was a job guy unless there was another job guy on the card.
There was a time in the early to mid 90s where I don't think you could go to an independent show in the Northeast and not see Tom Brady and versus King Kong Bundy.
Right.
Like,
and I know, like, I like shitting on people. Don't get me wrong. Like, when I typed my quote about fucking Conrad Thompson, Mark was like, God damn, he just shot on that guy. I said what I felt about him. But I honestly think that if Tom Brady would have been in the WWF in like 1987, he would have had a different career.
I don't know.
You know what I mean? Like I'm totally not knocking the guy, and I'm not disrespecting whatever. I think, like, if you would have put that guy, if you would have put like Tom Brady with like Rick Martel or Jim Powers or something like that, totally different career.
Yeah, but they tried that in WCW. He was with Tom Zink.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, it was a different time.
Like, I think my thing was he kept disappearing. Like, there was never he teamed with Tom Zink, and then he disappeared. And then he was Tommy Dreamer's tag team partner in ECW for a couple of months, and I think they won the tag team titles with each other, didn't they?
Yep.
Like 93, I think, or 92. And then he disappeared again. So I think this guy was a flight risk and just kept taking off from companies when he wasn't getting the push he deserved.
I think if he would have been, I think if Tom Brady would have been a decade earlier, it would have been a different story. I really do.
I don't know.
I'm just looking here, and you were like, if they would have put him with Rick Martel instead in '97 on Shotgun Saturday Night, they put him with someone we recently talked about, Rockabilly versus the Headbang.
Right.
Could you imagine being at like a Boots and Bourbon and fucking the Headbangers come out and here comes fucking Rockabilly and Tom Brady? What the fuck is going on? I just want to hear a Buck Owens song and drink a fucking beer, and these schlubs are out here.
Number 203, Sam Houston. Archie brought him up earlier. 6'2", 222, 8 years pro, long, lean Texan, is currently on the independent circuit. The husband of former ballet Baby Doll, best known for his crushing version of the Bulldog Headlock. So here's what I'm going to say. I'll say my piece on Sam Houston. I like Sam Houston, and I think that if Sam Houston would have been a little bit thicker, he probably would have been a bigger star. He just looks so out of place, especially in the WWF. He was so lanky, and he just never put on the weight. But I thought he had good charisma. He was a good baby face.
He looked like Jake when Jake started.
No, but I'm saying in the WWF.
Yeah, well, he got there too early.
Yeah,
I think he, and I could be wrong. Don't get me. I could be wrong, but I think Jake honestly had kind of like a Savage type situation where if it's like you want to hire me, I need to hire these people with me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And Sam Houston was a great fucking worker, and I've never seen a Sam Houston match where I was just like, that fucking sucked. Like, he could sell, he could work, and
he was a worker.
And it's one of my favorite Cornette stories ever, where he got heat in the NWA. Did you guys ever hear that?
I have. You can.
And it's a fucking great line. He's like, fucking Sam Houston and Baby Doll. They're on the plane and they're making out, and the guys don't like it, and Sam's sitting on Baby Doll's lap, like she's the bigger one. Like, it's so funny that he's like, yeah, Sam was sitting on Baby Doll's lap. Like, it would be usually reversed, but I just thought, I think Sam Houston. I think he suffered from being Jake's brother.
I agree.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just saying I agree. Go ahead.
Evidently, he still got some fight left in him, because in November 27th, 2021 at WrestleCade, he was in a Battle Royal, and on July 24th, 2021, he defeated Mitch Hurley in a singles match. But this is one that I really hate I missed. It says the VPW Casino Royale 2015 says he wrestled to a draw with Sin Bodhi with Jake the Snake as a referee. That would have been interesting to see.
That's interesting. That's an interesting matchup.
Yeah.
But I love fucking Cornette saying that Sam Houston was sitting on Baby Doll's lap. That's so funny.
Number 202. I like this guy. Watching him on TV and the USWA and the GWF when I was a kid. Billy Joe Travis.
Oh, Billy Joe's great.
5'10", 218, 11 years pro, longtime USWA competitors on the road these days. Recently competed in WWC, had a short stint as a guitar-swinging rule breaker, but reverted back to his fine form. Archie, I think that this guy qualifies where you and I like talk about John Tatum and Rod Price as a really good Southern-type wrestling heel.
Oh, yeah.
Just like he would do that. Sometimes he would be more flamboyant, but sometimes he would be the crybaby.
He put on like dresses and shit. Like, he was good.
Yeah.
No, he had a good mix to being a heel. Like you mentioned, that crying chicken shit heel was perfect for him. But then he also turned up the heat when he had to, and that's in my opinion, that's the true mark of a heel, when you can be a heel on different levels and know how to get that heat from the audience, no matter what it takes.
Yes.
For instance, last night on, or the other night, 2 nights ago on Dynamite, Christian Cage literally looked in the audience and said, Jungle Boy thought of me as a father figure. And I guess that's good because his father's dead, and the whole crowd went silent. That to me is bad heat. You know what I mean? You shouldn't mention a guy's dead father. But when a heel can shit on the crowd and then get them to boo immediately afterwards, it's like, yeah, that's perfect. You know?
And they, like you were saying with like a Tatum or whatever, like that's the, and when I say this, I don't mean like to be disrespectful. Like that was kind of like the level that he was on, and or almost like an Eric Embry. You know,
I love Eric Embry too.
Yeah, but that's how Billy Joe was, and he also is the guy that got arrested on fucking television.
Yeah, for real.
WA, like they were like, we gotta take this guy, and Lawler was like, this shit's live. We gotta run this fucking show. And the cops are like, we got to arrest him. And Lawler's like, well, I guess you're going to arrest him on fucking TV. Like, fucking Billy Joe Travis got arrested on fucking TV. And it was like, and I like watching like CWA shit. And he was like a highlight of CWA. I really like that guy. I think he's dead now, but I really liked him.
Me too. Yeah, he did pass away. He passed away, man, 10 years ago. He's been gone for a while. 201 is going to be a guy I don't know a lot about. Jerry Morrow. I've heard the name. I know that he was kind of a big deal up in Canada, like with Stampede, but I haven't seen enough of that.
Fucking idea who that guy. Who do you ever beat?
Seasoned veteran, still tearing things up in Canada. Hails from Martinique in the French West Indies. A former Stampede North American champion. Very brutal. I mean, like I said, I've heard
looking him up.
I've heard Bret Hart bring him up before and stuff. And I mean,
holy shit.
He smirked everybody. This guy beat Muda.
No, actually, him and Andre the Giant went over on Inoki and Tatsumi Fujinami.
Jesus. Why is he so high on the list now?
Guess what, Aaron?
Huh?
Guess what, Aaron?
What?
Whether he's looking down from heaven or not, right now, Jerry Morrow's like, yeah, fuck you nobodies who don't know who I am. I team with Andre the Giant. Get the fuck out of here.
I beat Inoki.
Well, I can say, Jerry Morrow, I'm standing on top of you. So I
win. And he also tag teamed with Sam Moody over there in New Japan.
Damn.
All right, he's better than me.
Number 200
Aaron was like, who do you ever beat? And Mark's like, well, he did beat
Antonio Inoki. 200 is Brad Anderson, 6'1", 220, 2 years pro. Son of Gene Anderson, is now a hated rule breaker, has competed in WCW and Pacific Northwest, trained by his father in Nelson Royal, cut in the Anderson mold.
You want to hear some funny shit?
I do. I always do.
All the matches they have listed for him, except for one, is a loss. And it came 10 years after his last WWF show, and it was on an NWA Wrestling Legends fan fest.
Yeah, here's to you. Not really carrying on the Anderson legacy there.
That's pretty bad.
Number 199, Rochester Roadblock.
Fuck that.
Huge former IWCCW star is now tearing up Japan, probably Japan's toilets. Famous for covering his foes with large wooden roadblock, trained at Larry Sharp's Monster Factory.
Looks like a melted candle.
That's funny.
Number 198, man. Hold on.
What are yours? Does anybody have anything on? He
got introduced into wrestling by jumping the rail during a one-man gang match.
You said jumping.
Okay.
Over.
Meandering over a rail.
He fell over that motherfucker.
Secondly,
he got introduced by falling over the rail.
He took a bump on the floor from the guardrail. Wasn't wrestling, kid.
Falling over.
I was the Shockmaster before anybody knew who the Shockmaster was.
Oh shit! Did he recently get a figure released though? Like one of them knockoff
Yes.
retro things that they're doing.
Yes. Him, the Spanish Angel, and Larry Zbyszko, one of my all-time favorites. Larry Zbyszko.
Yeah, Larry Zbyszko.
What did Roadblock and Larry Zbyszko do together?
They got retro figures. They got the Hasbro-sized action figures.
Well, the Roadblock one isn't Hasbro-sized.
Right. It's quite large.
A clump of melted.
Well, no, it's
You
it's Hasbro sized, but it's the Hasbro, like the Yokozuna Hasbro
Right.
size.
No, it's
Yeah.
bigger than that too. My favorite thing that I think I ever saw was on an episode of Monday Nitro, Lex Luger trying to lift him up into the torture rack, and after 3 tries, he just said "fuck it" and hit him with the bionic elbow
Yeah,
that he did
yeah.
hit for like 4 years.
He's
and
like,
pinned him.
I have picked up the Giant,
Right.
and I can't
Why are
pick
you-
up this. I can't pick
why are
up
you
this
taking-
Jabba the Hutt looking motherfucker.
Why are you making this difficult? Just stop putting dead weight on my neck, fat ass.
Like, you guys
Help me, motherfucker!
you guys know what the poop emoji looks like, right?
Uh-huh.
The Rochester Roadblock.
It looks like the poop emoji that is stuck in "we can't send this text message," so now it's gotten fucking ashy.
Oh god.
Have you guys ever seen an ashy fucking clump of shit?
Oh god.
Like when shit starts turning white, and if you kick it, it just fucking turns into dust. That's fucking Roadblock, Rochester.
He's out there listening somewhere, and we just lost a listener.
Yep. He's like,
Fucking,
fuck.
I don't want him.
We'll gain 5 more for the comment.
Right. We seriously
Lex,
need to-
now Lex Luger's listening.
Right. Well, here, I can get rid of him real quick. Never mind. No, I'll leave him alone.
Talk about.
But
Oh, go ahead, Archie.
No, go ahead.
Okay. I was just going to say, talk about opposites. We went from Rochester Roadblock at 199 to 198, Harley motherfucking Race.
Yes.
Damn.
6'1", 268, 32 years pro, essentially retired now that he's the new advisor to Lex Luger, but competed just months ago. A 7-time NWA World Champion on a record, among the greatest ever.
He absolutely is, and should be discussed as being not one of the fucking best fucking tough man wrestlers ever. And I think the reason he's on this list is because he was in like a Clash of the Champions.
Isn't this the year that he wrestled
He fought Tommy
Rich? Yeah.
Yep.
And
His fro was fantastic.
every all the time. Like Harley Race, I will fucking fight anybody that tries to tell me anything disrespectful about Harley Race. I've never met the man, but I fucking love him.
For
And
him to even want to put that belt on Tommy like that, they said that was his idea.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and he could see it, like we were talking about before, with the foreshadow, with the foresight, like Jim Ross saw him had that. Harley saw that in Tommy, but Tommy just didn't, live up to that.
And that I actually have I have a lot of Georgia from 79 to like 84. And that 81 Georgia stuff, you can see, speaking of what you were saying, Mark, like Harley comes in, he of course, he's the NWA champion, so he comes in, he defends against this guy, he defends against that guy. But you can see, and people can say what they want about Tommy Rich, but in that area, at that time, when you watch those shows, those people, he was like Lawler in Memphis, man. Right. Like, people fucking loved Tommy Rich in that Georgia territory. And like you said, Harley saw that. He was like, let's give this kid a chance. And then it was 8 days, but it was a chance nonetheless. That's the only
time he fucking did it. Like, he'd just go into a fucking territory and be like, I'm going to drop the belt tonight. I'll drop the belt. And other guys would be like, are you sure about it? It's like, what the fuck are they going to do? I'm fucking Harley Race. Like, he would say, if I hit a man with my right hand and he doesn't fall down, I'm going to walk around to the left side to see what wall is holding him up. And
That's a good thing.
he was the absolute, in my opinion, and like I said, I never met the guy, and I obviously never will because he's gone now. But in my opinion, of all of the stories I've ever heard, he is one of the 3 top baddest ass human beings to ever
Definitely
walk the goddamn earth. It's like him, fucking Freddie Blassie, and Wahoo McDaniel. Those are the 3 baddest ass son bitches.
And Haku.
But Haku's still around.
Yeah.
So he's now the baddest ass son bitch walking. But I guarantee if you walked up to Haku right now and said, "Hey, you want to fight Harley Race?" He'd be like, "Nope." Absolutely not. Fucking Harley Race is.
It's funny though, because you're like, the way you're talking about him, I think of like there's a John Wayne, Clint Eastwood, and Rambo of damn wrestling. Like just those bad motherfuckers that you want.
Right, I agree.
To be around.
But yeah, don't nobody try to fucking tell me nothing negative about fucking Harley Race. That dude was the fucking man.
Number 197. This guy's well done. Rex King. 5'11", 240, 4 years pro. Upbeat scientific star is rising force in the tag team division. King and Steve Dahl held the Pacific Northwest titles twice and the USWA tag team title. Of course, he's going to become Timothy Well of Well Done. They were a good tag team. I mean, I liked them. I thought they were serviceable. They weren't great. They were never going to be champions.
And he did the duck face before it was called the fucking duck face. Truth.
Hey, honestly, this might be a stupid statement, but by the time they got there in 90, like we don't want to talk. I know we're talking about like in the time, but when they became Well Done, because you were talking about that, they kind of became once they got there in the WWF. You know what I would compare them to?
What's that?
The Orient Express.
They were not going to be champs, but they were going to go out and have a great match, no matter who you put them in.
They're never going to have a city match, and they're never going to be your champs, but they're going to be the team that
you can pair with anybody.
Yeah, you can put them out there. Okay, these guys, like we're gonna partner them with the Smoking Guns because the Smoking Guns are going to be our champions. So we're going to give them 2 or 3 matches on TV, and it's not going to be offensive. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
They were the Pat Tanaka and fucking Paul Diamond of their locker room.
Right. And we never heard, I know I've never personally heard anyone say in a shoot interview or a regular interview or whatever, those guys were dangerous to work with. They hurt this one, they did that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They were perfect workers for that time period in the WWE to be put in there with any tag team, the Steiner brothers, the Head Shrinkers, it didn't matter, and give them a good match.
The
they were
Bushwhackers.
enhancement talent. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's good little Carpenter.
Number 196, Tommy Jammer. 5'11", 245, 3 years pro. Has honed his rapidly developing skills in the PWA and AWA. Handsome looks have made him a favorite among female fans, known as the California Kid. I don't know a lot about Tommy Jammer.
Never heard of him. I think he's a little low on the list.
Good, we'll move on then.
Well, evidently in 90, he lost to Tully Blanchard at the AWA Superclass.
As he should be.
Tully Blanchard was like, I ain't putting that guy over. He's losing tonight.
Yeah, who the fuck is Tommy Jammer?
We talked about this fellow a little while ago. 195, 1991, ladies and gentlemen, Johnny Ace. 6'3", 255 years pro, now a major force in Japan, began his career as a flag bearer for the Sheep Herders, formed the Dynamic Dudes with Shane Douglas in 1989, fearless aerial wrestler. You know, you can say what you want about John Laurinaitis. He was over in Japan.
Wrestler.
Yeah, he was
He's
over
a
in
great
Japan.
wrestler.
Yeah.
Like he's a fucking idiot, but he was a great
Out of all that, all Archie Mitchell heard was Shane Douglas.
Yes. Because it is a crime. It is a crime in Shane Douglas' career that he had to become a dynamic dude.
It's a crime. It's a crime in it's a crime in Johnny Ace's career. He had to be a dynamic dude. That whole gimmick was the shit.
That too, but he looked like he enjoyed it.
Johnny Ace actually, like, take away the fact that he's a fucking moron, is or was not anymore now because his fucking knees are halitosis or whatever. But he was fucking good. Like, he created the cutter.
Yeah.
The cutter move.
Yeah.
Like, he invented it. And was actually a really, like, good fucking wrestler. Like, that guy had psychology and could fucking work. I can find holes in his business aspect and getting people over, but I can't find a hole in his fucking game as a wrestler.
Yeah, and the Dynamic Dudes was a shitty gimmick, but they had good matches.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Know?
Like between the ropes, fucking great.
Well, I mean, in 1990, obviously NWA had some foresight because they put Mark Callis over on him. Even they saw that there was no denying the Undertaker was going to be a fucking star.
Taker beat the future head of talent relations there.
I wonder how that meeting, whenever they decided to bring him in, went.
Technically, Taker went into the WWF before Johnny Ace did.
Way
so
before
I think
he did.
when Johnny got promoted, Taker was like, "Just remember, I whipped your ass back in the early '90s."
And that's, like I said, I'm not talking about anything like after that. What we're talking about, I'm just saying, in ring, there's nothing wrong with John Laurinaitis in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in the 90s, in All Japan, it's showing, that he worked, he was tag teaming with like Steve Williams, Doug Furness, Shinta Kobashi, and all that.
Yeah, he was definitely, and he was super over with that Japanese crowd too. Definitely.
Yeah, he was one of their bigger gaijin, things that the guys that they would bring in, when they, he was in there with the guys were coming in like Vader and Bam Bam, you know what I mean? So he was definitely a big draw for them.
That's why I tried saying, like, earlier, that fucking Laurinaitis family, people talk about wrestling families and shit. The Laurinaitis family doesn't get talked about enough.
Number 194, The Soul Taker. 6'6", 340, 2 years pro, huge rule breaker from the docks of New Jersey, is a rising star, famous not only for his immense size, but for the mohawk haircut and tattoos, now in GWF following a Japan tour, and we all know who the Soul Taker is.
Charles Wright.
Yeah.
Everybody's favorite film.
Yep. Yeah, the Soul Taker was definitely one of his. I mean, it was an unpolished gimmick, but I mean, that was, I think, the catalyst for him becoming Papa Shango.
Papa Shango was fucking awesome.
Papa Shango was great. Some of the problem with the Papa Shango gimmick
was 4 years ahead.
Right.
I was going to say the problem with the Papa Shango gimmick was they made the mistake of making it too cartoony instead of menacing. The Ultimate Warrior black goo bullshit and all that. But the gimmick itself was fantastic.
I agree, but I mean, it started off more dark and ominous because he was lighting his opponent's feet on fire. You know what I mean? He was doing things but it was the Warrior that kind of made it like, why? Fuck,
Go
what are we
figure.
doing here?
Go
You know what I
figure.
mean?
This might be dumb. This might be a dumb analogy, and you guys can tell me if it is. But he should have, that Papa Shango character should have been the Kamala gimmick of that era.
To a certain extent, yeah.
Of that, the faces were like, ooh, this guy, like the commentators and the faces and all that shit should have been fucking terrified of it.
I think he needed if he would have maybe had like a Paul Bear with him as a manager and then not let him speak, it might have been a little bit better and darker. You know what I mean? And then you got The Undertaker who does his crazy shit and his, dark magic. And then you've got the master of dark magic, the Voodoo Man. You know what I mean? But then they just saddled him with Sid Justice, and the Ultimate Warrior destroyed him. So, yeah.
And he went on, and again, we're not talking about his future. We're talking about it this time. But he did go on to, do great things in the business, and he's a fun guy.
And
He's a great performer.
He's a great example of, and I know a lot of people hate him, but he's a great example of the Vince Russo era of just let this guy be himself.
Right.
And one of the best social media videos ever is when he's in the Papa Shango gear. Then he takes the hit of the bong and he's got the thing on his head.
Yep.
And he takes it off and then he's the Godfather. It's like, that's fucking amazing. It's
amazing.
Yep.
Well,
I heard recently.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Mark. Go ahead.
You said that Soul Taker was probably like the precursor to being Papa Shango, right?
Right.
Well, another one of the ring names he has right here is the Pimp Father. So evidently that was the precursor to the Godfather.
Right.
Bitches.
Right.
He's bitches around. I don't know what's going on.
They went with the Godfather because the Pimp Father wasn't politically correct.
Right. But he's
Number one,
supposedly one of the most approachable guys at like meet and greets. A buddy of mine met him a couple of months ago, and he was in Godfather gimmick. And my buddy's like, "Man, I would have loved to like took a picture with you as Papa Shango." And he's like, "Well, give me 5 minutes." He walked in the back, put on the makeup, came back out. And he's like, "Okay, let's go."
Yeah,
he didn't have to. So,
number 193, Tommy Rogers.
Oh,
Mr.
5'9", 222, 11 years pro, now competing mainly in Japan, teamed with Bobby Fulton to form the Fantastics, one of the finest duos of the 80s. Tandem held the WCW U.S. tag titles twice in 1988.
I could talk forever about fucking Tommy Rogers. That fucking dude was one of the best fucking workers that ever graced our goddamn green earth. He was fucking great. That, like, I'll let you guys talk about it, but fucking Tommy Rogers is one of the best fucking workers I've ever seen in my entire life.
And you know what's the real, and Mark, your show talks about the indie scene, but what is the real indication of a veteran who loves the business and loves what they do, loves the fans, and is a great worker, is no matter what size the audience, no matter where they're at. And I'm getting to a point. Aaron and I, we live in a small town in Ohio that they can't swing a cat without hitting the sister fucker or blah, blah, blah. But the Tommy Rogers, and correct me if I'm wrong, Aaron, I think he fought Tommy Rich on that card. But we went to a show at an armory, and we were probably 2 of 50 people that were there. And Tommy Rogers and Tommy Rich put on a clinic in front of 50 people in Podunk, Ohio. They could have very easily been like a lot of legends that come to shows and just called it in, did like a 2-minute thing where it was all stalling or whatever. But no, they went out there and they put on a 15-minute classic. And so much respect for Tommy.
Tommy Rogers is one of the greatest fucking workers that's ever. Like I said, I'm repeating myself, but he's one of the greatest workers that's ever existed. Like, that guy is and was, because he's gone now, but he was fucking fantastic. Like, and he was in the Fantastics. I'm not even trying to, like I said that, not even trying to be like cliche with it. Like, that guy was fucking great. Like, he was a great fucking worker. He's one of those guys, like, he's on like a Chris Candido, Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero level for me. Like, I'm actually happy that we brought him up, because I don't think that he gets enough praise for how fucking good he was. Like, that dude,
Master of the craft.
master of the craft.
A different type of master of the craft at 192. And that's not being negative. I'm being totally positive here. I'm actually reading the book about him right now. The Sheik. 5'11", 247. At this point, 39 years pro. A true legend that just keeps going. The most feared man in the sport from his 1952 debut through the early 70s. Hurls fire, bites, and draws quarts of blood. For that style of wrestling.
Yeah, he's the antithesis of Tommy Rogers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's not the greatest worker in the world, obviously, because he's not. But he lived his fucking gimmick and got that shit over. And people in that fucking territory were like, this guy's fucking crazy.
Wow. He had longevity in the business also. To be in it that damn long, that speaks leaps and bounds in itself.
Oh, definitely.
And not to mention, you know, there's a lot of quote unquote garbage wrestling, like as far as hardcore wrestling goes. The Sheik kind of sort of started it, but here's the thing: if you watch garbage wrestling, you watch two idiots spend 20 minutes putting themselves through light tubes and put staples in their head and showing me that they really don't have any talent. And I'm not, I don't know, I guess I am shitting on it. I guess it takes a pain threshold, but to me it doesn't take any talent to just go out there and look like a couple of dumps in the ring getting stapled and put through fire. What the Sheik did, though, everything was selective and everything had a point in his matches. Like if he was gonna throw the fire, he wasn't gonna throw the fire every night. He was gonna throw the fire when it was important.
Yeah.
Right.
He wasn't fucking sorry, I didn't mean to step on you.
No. Go ahead.
I'm just saying, like, the Sheik wasn't this Effie guy that I looked up. And he wasn't. I looked up Effie. I'm like, really, guys? You want me to fucking put over Effie? I'm not going to do it. And he wasn't fucking
Nick Gage.
And he wasn't all fucking Danzig and all these fucking stupid fucks. Like, he had psychology to it. And that's what kind of Nate was saying. Like he pulls the snake out when it's important, or the fireball when it's important. It wasn't just like, oh, I'm gonna fall through fucking goddamn light tubes.
Well, I will disagree with you there, because there was a match between Sabu and the Sheik versus Oneta in FMW where they lit the whole damn ring on fire and almost died.
And that was fucking awesome.
Yeah, but they almost died. They literally said they began to feel their flesh burning and they smelt it cooking. So that was just for the sake of going, oh shit, we're gonna go off tonight. You know what I mean? But that was
at the
also
same
older
time,
in his career.
You got those three motherfuckers, and everybody knows these motherfuckers are out of their mind crazy anyways. So how can we add that shock value? Fuck it, let's set the ring on fire.
I guess. Remind me never to be in a wrestling match with Mark because he might just set the ring on fire.
Number 191.
Important.
Number 191, Destruction. 6'3", 255, 3 years pro. Forms Blackhearts with fellow masked man Apocalypse. For large men, can perform incredible aerial maneuvers managed by Luna Vachon, increasingly sadistic. We already kind of covered it all with his partner earlier.
David Heath, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. 190?
Gangrel was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gangrel, Vampire Warrior in the Indies when he wasn't in the in the Blackhearts. He had a good career.
Number 190, Joe Savoldi, 6 foot, 220, 11 years pro, second generation star as an IWCCW mainstay, a 3-time ICW champion. Jumpin' Joe is as athletic as they come, a career scientific wrestler. The Savoldis, an IWCCW.
They were trash.
Never heard of them. I can't give a comment.
You didn't miss much.
The physique is impressive, but like I'm assuming the in-ring work didn't complement that.
The Savoldis are funny because it was a very, very, very early reliving the extreme where Tommy Dreamer worked a match and people in the crowd were like, "Go back to the Savoldis, you fat fuck." That's what they called it, Tommy Dreamer.
Number 189, Jerry Sags, 6'3", 275 years pro, a member of the WWF World Tag Team Champions, the Nasty Boys, with Brian Knobbs. Sags and Knobbs have been friends since boyhood, held his own with the Steiners. I will fight anyone who shits on the Nasty Boys.
Yeah, I love their whole fucking shtick with the whole Pity City and all that. Like,
and they were badass, man. Like, say what you want about them, whatever. You know, they were party animals and blah blah blah. Those guys, they were those guys that, if you asked them, if you told them, yeah, you're gonna have a match with the Bushwhackers, have a good 10 minutes. They weren't gonna put in a bunch of effort. They were going to give you what they were going to give you, and that was it. But if you said we need a hot, hard-hitting tag team title match tonight, they were going to give you that too. Like
and that. Oh, sorry, Nate.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say that's what I was going to say about Jerry is that I'd put those guys as the same thing you were saying with. If you tell Jerry Sags we're gonna have a good match, all right. With Jerry Sags, it was almost like the Hart Foundation. Not saying they're as great of a team as the Hart Foundation, but Jerry Sags was the fucking worker of that team.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like. And I'm not knocking Jim Neidhart either in this, but if you would tell me who's the better worker out of Bret Hart and Jim Neidhart, well, it's Bret, you know. But who's the most entertaining? Fucking Jim Neidhart. And that's how I look at the Nasty Boys. Like, Jerry Sags was the Bret Hart of the Nasty Boys. Like, he was the fucking worker of it. Like, he was the guy doing the fucking elbow off. He was the guy that when Dusty was like, "Pivot," he was the guy doing the fucking.
And Brian Knobbs was the guy that was going to let Cactus hit him in the head with a snow shovel.
Yeah, and the fucking Nasty Boys, they're a great fucking tag team.
Mm-hmm.
I will like you said, I'll fight on a fucking hill of telling me that the fucking Nasty Boys weren't a great fucking tag team. And
That's why I ain't saying anything.
They have one of the greatest they have one of my favorite tag team matches of all time.
what did she say?
She
So
said that's why
why
he's not saying anything.
That's why I'm not saying anything.
One of my favorite tag team matches of all time is the Nasty Boys versus the Steiners at Halloween Havoc 90.
Yeah,
Okay, see,
that's a great
that's
fucking
where I
match.
agree.
And I
That's
love
where I agree.
the fucking match with the Nasty Boys versus Cactus Jack and Kevin Sullivan from that Spring Stampede. That's fucking amazing.
Right.
That
Sorry.
might be my favorite WCW pay-per-view, honestly.
Oh, that Spring Stampede '94 is the greatest WCW.
It is. It's
ever.
fucking amazing. There's nothing bad on it. Like, you watch the whole thing and you're like, how is this promotion so shitty and this pay-per-view so good?
I will agree with you both. Their early time in WCW, when they were battling the Steiners and all the rest of the tag teams on that roster, were fantastic. Their early time in the WWF with Jimmy Hart was great. I enjoyed them then as well. And yes, their feud with Cactus and Kevin Sullivan, and then Cactus and Max Payne. I mean, that Broad Street Bully match was incredible.
I know where you're going with this, Archie, and we're going to agree. Go ahead.
And I'm not shitting on them. I'm really not. I did enjoy them. As they got later in their career, they relied on the gimmick too much. The pit stop.
And that's what I was going to say. Is yes, later in their career, when Hogan was, let's not fucking beat around the bush.
I didn't even mention
when Hogan was the man running WCW.
Yeah.
And they were allowed to be fat and lazy. They got fat and lazy. Let's be honest. But that's the thing. Before 96,
they were one of the best tag teams possible.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I agree. Jerry Sags was the workhorse of the team, and Brian did what he had to do and took most of the bumps. But as they got older on in life, which I guess happens to guys when they've been in the ring that long, it's just like the allure left them, and they were just like, "Okay, it's the Nasty Boys, and they're fighting Public Enemy again for the 47th time." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
all right, we have about 15 minutes left in our 90 minutes that we do here. So let's see how far we get. Hey, we're almost to the color pages. Anybody that's ever read Wrestling Illustrated 500 was
racist.
No, not the colored pages, the color pages. And not with crayons either. Number 188. Oof. Al Madril.
Didn't
we mention him a little while ago? He was with
Fat Flock is still working.
6'1",
He looks like Ron Jeremy.
6'1", 231, 19 years pro. Hosts Fiesta Garden interviews on the weekly Portland wrestling program. Has become increasingly sadistic of late. Hurls fire with callous disregard. I'm one of the few people that I know of that actually enjoys watching World Class, I guess. But one of the lowlights for World Class of me is I never understood Al Madril. I never understood him. Like, he just...
I love World Class Championship Wrestling. But one of the low...
I just never got the guy. He just doesn't appeal to me at all. Very... it's like he's a star, but he's generic. I don't even know how to describe it.
Yeah, I recently watched an interview with him where he got in Kerry Von Erich's face, and I just wasn't buying the promo. You know what I mean? Like, Kerry's sitting there being Kerry Von Erich, the Texas Tornado, the son of Fritz, and this guy is yelling at him, like, why is there a fan in the crowd? You know what I mean? So.
Anybody else got anything on that jabron before we move on?
Nada.
Let him eat it.
Number 187, not a jabroni, Mitsuhara Misawa. 5'11", 228, 11 years pro, fast becoming a legend in All Japan Wrestling, has held too many titles to list here, purely scientific with an amazing array of holds. Now, I have to say, I am one of those guys.
Awesome trunks.
Yeah, well, but I am one of those guys that's like MJF, in that I see all these guys on the internet talking about New Japan Wrestling, and I'm like, you pretend you watch Japanese wrestling because you think it makes you smart. I've watched a lot of Misawa, that man was one of the greatest pro wrestlers to ever walk the earth.
Hells
Like, innovative, hard hitting. Like, I've never watched him. He's and Aaron, don't say it's blasphemy because I don't think it is. I think as far as that Japanese wrestling, all right, I'm talking Japanese wrestling. He's in the vein of Harley Race.
Yeah, and I'm not going to tell you that. Oh, shut up. I'm not going to tell you that. He's in that vein, and he's in, like, the style of what he did is like a Dynamite Kid or Chris Benoit type, just hard-hitting fucking style.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that dude fucking brought it. And
his German suplex made me cringe because it looked so real, like he was dropping people on their head. And I think the first and only time for a while I saw someone do a deadlift brainbuster, like from the ground up, lift there. Like, this dude doesn't look this powerful, but my God.
And think about
and
think about the talent it took. Think about how much talent you have as a wrestler. Like you just said, Archie, like, wow, that looked cruel. That looked brutal. That looked at, he never hurt anybody.
He
never hurt anybody.
He got hurt.
Yeah. He's like Bret. He's like Bret Hart, you know?
It took a toll on his body because it says that it's caused death with spinal damage. So I'm sure that had, something to play into that.
Like the true art of professional wrestling is to make people believe that they're hurting somebody else. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yes.
Suspend that disbelief.
And he did that. Like, when you watched him and you saw him drop somebody on their fucking neck, you were like, God damn. That was fuck. Like, that shit looked legit.
Mm-hmm. And his opponent, and all his opponent probably needed that night was a nice shower.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's why I put him on the same level as, like Nate said, Bret Hart. And I know we're not supposed to talk about him, but Chris Benoit and fucking Dynamite and those type of people, it's like he was a fucking master, in my opinion.
I agree. And he took Japanese wrestling to another level, not just in the ring, but out of it, because if it wasn't for him, New Japan and All Japan would have monopolized Japanese wrestling, and he brought Noah in. You know what I mean? That was his company, and other wrestlers got a chance. Like, you know how we always say, well, when WCW died, Vince McMahon monopolized the wrestling companies. Well, that's basically what Japan was doing, too. So when he opened Noah, it gave young guys who weren't getting a chance in those other companies a chance to actually have a place to wrestle.
Yes. So. Number 186 is a second-generation star that I will say is much like Eric Watts. One of these things is not like the other. The son was not even remotely
David Sammartino.
Close to the father. Hey, it's David Sammartino.
How did I know
5'10", 225, 11 years pro, son of legendary two-time former WWF World Champion Bruno Sammartino. Has shed many pounds during the past 2 years.
Hey. Read it again.
I know where you're going.
Yeah,
son of legendary two-time former WWF World Champion.
2 times.
Thank you, Roddy Piper.
Do you guys know when Piper was on fucking TNT? Sorry, I'm burping. But you guys remember when Piper was on fucking TNT and he was feuding with fucking Bruno? And they were like, what do you think about Bruno Sammartino? And he's like, 2 times. And he had his fucking nose and his fucking ears. And he made him, he basically, insinuated that fucking Bruno was a fucking mongoloid. It was so fucking funny.
Now,
2 Two times. It's one of the funniest fucking things I've ever seen in my life.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Everybody remembers David Sammartino on the first WrestleMania. He legit looked like a meatball. Then he showed up in WCW on Nitro one night as this muscular blonde dude. What the hell happened?
Steroids.
Steroids, or did Bruno Calamego get into some tape? I don't know.
He just answered it.
20 years later, in a total, he didn't even look like the same guy. I was like, that's not Bruno Sammartino's son. That ain't David.
But that's some big fucking shoes to fill, though.
Oh,
Like,
definitely.
But that,
you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what a lot of the problem too with, you know, the generations up and coming from, you know, the dads and stuff being so great. You got to live up to that.
You know, and it's true. And there's like the flip side too. Like David Sammartino, Bruno was Bruno. David was
right.
But let's be honest. And as much as I love his dad, Randy Orton is one of
miles ahead.
He is. I'm going to go on a bold statement here, and this is something I've thought about really hard.
Randy's better than his dad.
Yes. I'm going to say this now. It's kind of a spoiler for come January, but for this year's We Can't Wrestle Podcast Hall of Fame, I'm nominating Randy Orton. Randy Orton has had a 20-year career, and we keep saying this tonight, I'll fight somebody, but I'll fight somebody on the fact that, honest to God, in the history of professional wrestling, Randy Orton is in the top 15 pro wrestlers of all time. And I love Bob. I love Bob Orton, but I wouldn't even put Bob in my top 50. You know,
Randy Orton. We shouldn't talk about Randy Orton.
We shouldn't. We're talking about 91.
But fucking Randy Orton is the greatest worker of his fucking generation.
Oh, hands down.
Without a doubt.
Hands down.
Without a doubt.
Fucking psychology, body movement, everything that he fucking, like, reaction, everything that he fucking does. Randy Orton's the best. Like, out of that whole OVW crowd.
I was just about to say that. He came in with three, and I know, look, Batista was Batista, Brock Lesnar is still Brock Lesnar, and John Cena is one of the best. But
I love
they
Brock
were three
Lesnar.
meatheads.
They
were three meatheads when they came in, though. And Orton was this young kid who kept getting injured, and then all of a sudden boomed.
Of their generation, Randy Orton is Randy Savage to John Cena's Hulk Hogan.
Oh,
there's no doubt.
He's
definitely
fantastic.
Like, all right, I'll give it.
David.
I'll leave it up to you guys as we round out the show. Are we doing 3 more or 4 more?
Let's go 4.
I've missed a couple of episodes. Do 4.
All right, 4 more. Number 185, a guy I am a huge mark for, as Aaron knows. He hasn't got his WWF run or his WWF name yet, but in this top 500, he is number 185, and he is still wrestling as Chris Chavis.
Tatanka.
6'1", 260, 2 years pro, impressive second-year man, has amassed a loyal following in the South Atlantic area, a former SAPW champion known as War Eagle because of his Indian heritage. Tatanka, one of the underrated stars of his era.
Definitely. Should have been a tag team champion with Bam Bam, and should have won the Intercontinental title at least once.
I agree.
He was the Savio of 92.
And his heel turn, and we've talked about it before. His heel turn really could have worked in 94 if they would have done it the way they should have done it. Lose every aspect of him being a proud Native American.
Yeah, he should have had black hair.
He should have owned a casino. And you know what I mean? Like, if they just would have and get rid of the music and all that, just because he could do it, he had the he had the ability to do it.
He only came out in a suit one time after he joined the $1 Million Man's Corporation. That should have been. He should have came out in a suit every week.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the $1 Million Man did. He should have been the grooming for the next $1 Million Man, in my opinion, because you had him calling out Lex Luger the whole time. Luger finally says it's not him. He turns on Luger, and then it was a popcorn fart. You know what I mean? It was nothing interesting after that.
But about I know I took it to the future, but focusing on this time, I would say he was probably one of the best young workers in the business at the time.
Oh, definitely.
And obviously I didn't see a lot of his independent South Atlantic stuff, but when he came into the WWF, man, I was totally into Tatanka.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
His matches,
They booked him right.
his matches with Shawn
And Martel. His matches with Martel
were fucking great. Like, Chris Chavis was a hell of a worker and looked the part. I don't know if that sounds stupid, but he looked the fucking part.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he was built, and he did not look like he didn't belong in the fucking business.
He looked like a fucking wrestler.
I was about to say, and I bring him up on our show a lot because I love him. Cornette would say he looked like a grown ass man.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
Tatanka could fuck me up.
Yeah.
Like, if I walked into a bar and Tatanka was in there, I'd be like, yeah, I'll buy that guy a drink because I don't want him to fucking chop me in the fucking head.
Number 184, and this is by his own hand because of his problems, his own self demons and everything. I describe this man as one of the greatest that never became one of the greatest. Number 184 is Buddy Landel. 6 foot,
yeah.
6 foot, 236, 11 years pro at this time. The other Nature Boy. Blonde Rule Breaker is a wrestling vagabond, has competed in WCW, Global, IWCCW, and Tri-State in the last 5 months alone. Buddy Landel is one of the greatest heels in the history of wrestling and he didn't get his fair shake, not because it wasn't fair, but because Buddy could never stay straight. He could never get out of his own way. That guy was magic. He was magic.
Nate, when they finally brought him into the WWF and he was being billed as the Nature Boy Buddy Landel and he had the robe and he was pulling Flair-esque moves and shit, a few months later they brought Flair in. So what do you do with that? You know what I mean? Like, of course he's going to go drink or do something bad.
Yeah, but honestly, by that point in his career, I'll be honest, Budrow was in his own way.
No, I know, but
they were desperate for talent, and it's the legendary. We named the episode when we covered that in your house, the Buddy Rondell episode, because that fucking lousy ass ring announcer introduces him by the wrong name.
Right.
But I'm referring to Buddy Landel in the territories and in Memphis and in God, that guy was like Eddie Gilbert. He was so good, but he couldn't get out of his own way.
Nate, I'm going to say this, and like I said, you talked about him. He was the Eric Embry of that type of situation. And I'm not saying Eric Embry didn't get out of his own way, but that fucking dude should have been a bigger star than he was.
Mm-hmm. But in his case, it's his fault.
It is. And he should have been, like, when he came out of the fucking shoot, he shouldn't have been the graduate with Shane Douglas. He should have been the guy that was presenting Shane Douglas.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Good point.
Like, he should have been bigger. He should Buddy Landell should have been a bigger star than what he was. And we talked about Tommy Rogers later. Like it's a different style and it's a different move set and work rate, but fucking Buddy Landell should have been a bigger star than what he was. Like he looked like shit, but he should have been, like I said, bigger than he was. I'm sorry.
No, I agree.
Number 183, the Equalizer.
Evan Sullivan.
6'3", 250, 1-year pro, rugged war-painted newcomer, burst upon the Pacific Northwest scene in 1990. Used to bring a trash can to the ring, but has calmed down, recently traveled to Japan. I was never a fan of Evad, Dave,
Nope.
the Equalizer,
Fuck him.
whatever you want to call him.
I hope
Never a
he's-
fan. Might be a perfectly nice gentleman, but in
Yep.
the ring, on TV, didn't like the Equalizer.
I hope
The
he's
only
dead.
thing I got to say about him is he looked like he might have had something to do with the conception of the goblins.
Is he dead?
I don't know.
No, I don't think he's dead.
I do know that one of the most awkward tag teams I've ever seen is watching WCW Saturday Night in 1993. There's a match where he teams with Rick Rude, and I was like, could you put two more opposite examples?
Equalizer?
Right.
Yeah.
Rude?
Yeah,
Yeah, he did. He did.
yeah.
Yeah. That's
They had them paired up for a couple of weeks.
yeah, I hope Equalizer's dead.
Oh,
No,
God.
he's not.
Christ.
He's not. It doesn't say cause of death. And the only thing that when I scroll through here that even sounds appealing is the fact that he on the Great American Bash '95 he beats DDP in the arm wrestling.
Right. And yet,
Yeah,
didn't
do
he
you
win a
guys
date
remember
with
that?
Tiffany?
They had a rabbit. Do you remember that shit with
Mhm.
fucking DDP and Equalizer? They had a rabbit.
Yep.
Yeah,
Didn't he win a date with Kimberly for winning that arm wrestling match? And
Yeah,
then DDP showed up and beat the crap out of him.
Was that when
Yeah.
he was using the "I wanna be a Hulkamaniac"?
Yep. Yep.
If they
And then
pulled
Hogan
that
came
down,
in.
good for them. Because I mean, honestly, if I could listen to like some Spotify with "I want to be a Hulkamaniac" and Kimberly Bacon was like, "I'll just fuck you," then I'm like, okay, I'm down with that. Because you're brunette and you have big tits, and I kind of want to do that,
I'll get.
but I don't want Evad. I don't want Evad to watch.
I'll get cuckolded by the Hulkamaniac. I want to be a Hulkamaniac music. That's
Yeah,
fine.
like if Evad has to watch, I'm down with it.
He's got his rabbit and his backwards hat in the corner of the room. Anyway,
But
Jesus
you're
Christ.
beautiful.
Wearing the Hogan.
We're all
Wearing the boots.
doing.
Wearing the boots. Hogan
Well,
gave him.
welcome to Thunderdome, Mark. This is what we do.
If Kimberly Bacon was like, "Hey, Evad is gonna strangle a fucking rabbit,"
Oh
while
my God.
we bang in the corner, I'm like, cool. Just don't make eye contact, Evad.
Hang on,
Right.
Thumper.
Don't look me in the eye.
Just don't make
communicate.
eye contact.
No eye
Because-
contact. No eye contact.
No eye contact. Because if we don't make eye contact and our tips don't touch, it's gonna be okay. Because I want to do this.
We need to change the name of this show
It'll be over. It'll be
roasted-
over in 75 seconds. It's fine.
No.
Yeah, it will.
No. The whole show needs to be changed to roasting the PWI 500. Because we ain't said a good thing about pretty much anybody on this list, but maybe 5 people.
And I'm just gonna be like, I'm gonna look at Evad and be like, I wanted to be a Hulkamaniac too, but didn't happen, brother.
Forgot to take my blue vitamins today.
Yeah, sucks to be you.
All right, guys, you said 4 more. This is number 4.
Did I
Nate's
just?
trying to keep it. Nate's trying to keep it all professional.
Time to put a bow on this train wreck.
Did I just troll off into another something that we didn't want to talk about?
We do that every time. It's not a big deal.
Kimberly Bacon is hot. So go ahead.
All right. Last but certainly not least on this week's edition of the show, number 182. It's not the one you're going to think of when I initially say the name. It's Steve Regal, but not Steven Regal.
That's
It's definitely not. I looked at the picture.
That's
It's the boring Steve Regal.
AWA
Oh.
Steve Regal.
6
Mr.
foot.
blonde haired Gene Simmons looking one.
I hate that guy. I wish he
Mr.
was dead.
Electricity Steve Regal, right?
6 foot 205, 14 years pro, a great AWA wrestler, held the light heavyweight title on 2 occasions and captured the world tag team title with Jim Garvin, long known as Mr. Electricity. I don't mean to be detrimental to anybody that's a fan of the guy. I'm not a fan of this Steve Regal.
He was jail cell friend with Buck Zumhofe, right?
I don't know about that. Was he? Was he a pedo?
Mark, is that in his bio?
I think
that's
he
not-
was fucking
We're-
Zumhofe.
There's your gimmick, Mark.
Aaron?
Your Mark,
Yeah.
Mr. Research Brew. There's your gimmick.
I think he teamed with Buck Zumhofe.
Oh. I thought
Wait a
you
minute,
meant
are
he
we-
was like there was a conviction of some sort. I'm like,
minute.
oh,
I
no,
think
I
he
didn't.
teamed with the guy.
Are we making Mark the Mike Tenay of the We Can't Wrestle podcast?
Oh, the professor.
The
Yeah.
Professor Mark Brew? I like it.
And Nate's fucking Tony Schiavone, and I'm fucking Larry Zbyszko or Bobby Heenan.
Well, wait, can I
Who the
be
fuck
Bobby
is
Heenan?
Archie then? What the hell?
I want to be
Aaron?
Bobby. I don't
Lee
want to be
Marshall.
Lee Marshall. No.
Yeah, he's Lee Marshall because he had to go on the road. Like I wanted, Archie, if you went on the
Oh
road.
God.
You didn't give me
Lee
any
Marshall would
fucking
want it.
reports.
Lee Marshall with 1-800-COLLECT here in Weaselville.
You got to
Archie
come
Bobby
up.
Heenan.
You got to come up with Aaron puns, not
I
Weasel
I don't
puns.
see nothing
Yeah.
on there about him being one of them things.
All right, so you can't make him guilty by association, Aaron.
Who?
Steve Regal. Just because you team with a pedo doesn't mean you are a pedo. The booker makes the decisions.
You pretty much are.
But yeah,
Like, if you walk out and you see somebody slamming a kid, and you just go, "All right, never mind, I didn't see that."
It's like the finale of Seinfeld, the Good Samaritan clause.
Yeah, you're part of the part.
Or the park.
You're part of the part.
This got real weird. Like the last 2 minutes got real
And
weird.
doesn't it usually?
I think
Usually
the non-
midway.
British. I think the non-British Steve Regal was a part of the part of fucking Buck Zumhofe banging a kid.
Can we cut that part out?
Did we really only get through like 30 of these?
We did.
Yeah, everybody
Hey,
just looked
hey.
at me.
Hey, be
Everybody,
proud.
I really
Be proud.
said,
We usually.
I think the Steve
Yeah, I don't
You
want to
Regal.
do it
don't
again.
have to repeat it.
I don't need it repeated.
All of you just stopped and looked at me and said nothing.
You earned it.
By the way, Mark, be proud. We only usually get through 20. So 30 was like a high score.
But the funniest goddamn thing I've seen all night was me saying that and just everybody just going,
We all went dead quiet.
yeah.
Dead air. Dead air.
Oh shit!
That's the end of the show.
Sadie is shaking her paw at you right now.
No, she's happy for me.
She's like, bad boy, bad boy. She's hitting you with a newspaper. Bad boy.
The minute I said of it,
Aaron, you shit on the carpet. Bad boy.
the minute I said it, all of you were just like,
I didn't, because I didn't think you were going to go the whole way through. I thought you were going to like use an innuendo. I didn't think you were going to say the actual word.
Innuendo out
and
your
your window
window.
out your window. That was so funny.
All right,
Mine
it's time to wrap it up.
Ugh, that's what she said.
And we will start with the rookie, Mark. Any parting words for our listeners here this week? As next week, we will start with 181.
Yes, if me and Archie Mitchell join in on this, you can count that there's going to be 14 more parts.
Well, I'm loving every minute of it, so I don't give a shit. It's my show. I'll do what I want. Archie?
I'm enjoying it.
Yes. One, Archie Mitchell does not, what am I looking for the word? Archie Mitchell does not condone the words of Aaron Maxson and does not condone what he thought Bug Zuhoff and Steve Regal did to children.
There you go.
Number
Good Lee Marshall there, Archie.
Number two, new episode of If You Smell What the Art Is Cooking will be out Monday. I'm sorry I missed this past week, but unfortunately real life got in the way. And number three, Chad Austin, I'm still calling you out. You can't duck me forever, Chad. That's it. I'm done.
Aaron, be nice.
I know.
Be nice. Really? You expect him to be not? No.
I know exactly what Buck Sumoff did in his life.
Buck Sumoff's a piece of shit. We're criticizing you for dragging Steve Regal into this.
Mr. Electricity, Steve Regal, did nothing wrong. But I will say that Buck Sumoff is a complete piece of shit, and I hope he dies. But who I don't hope dies is all of our listeners, and I appreciate you guys listening to this show.
If you're still listening after this.
If you're still
listening after this.
If you're still listening to this, I hope you all agree that Buck Sumoff is the biggest piece of shit that's ever existed in wrestling. Like Chris Benoit's a better fucking father than Buck Sumoff.
Oh, God. Oh, God. All right. Again, I don't condone any of this. Neither does Mark.
Sorry, Nate. You can edit that.
No, I can't because you stole my joke. On a recent episode of Reliving the Extreme, we were talking about Benoit, and I said, Aaron, you don't have any kids, and you're a better father than Chris Benoit. So,
oh my God.
I recall that episode.
Yeah, me too.
I'm not editing it out. I'm going to give myself credit for that.
Okay, well, let me finish. Let me finish.
You have more?
I do have more.
Oh,
I want you guys and
Kimberly's coming back, yeah.
to continue to listen to the Reliving the Extreme podcast, which is a great podcast that was my brainchild on the We Can't Wrestle podcast group, and listen to Mark Brew's podcast, listen to Archie Mitchell's podcast, listen to Nate's Slice of Time. I appreciate anything that you guys are listening to. Thank you.
Oh, also, by the way, I got Kobe Mack showing up this week on March Indie Spotlight. She recently won
Nice.
the title, but I got her prior to her title win, so we're going to have her back so we can discuss that also.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, when we sign off with this show, I actually have that show set to shoot out tonight. So there we go. And
Excellent.
this won't be airing on Saturday, but Bark's show is already up if you're listening to this. But yeah, listen to Archie, of course. If you smell what the Arch is cooking, everybody's entitled to a break, Archie. Listen to Aaron, the year that was, a fantastic show talking about 1997, of course,
It's
reliving
kinda boring, but it's
the
fun.
extreme. And as Aaron said, his brainchild. I'll give you credit for that.
Thanks, bro.
Good thing you beat the Roe v. Wade thing on that one. And then, other than that, folks, yeah, I'll make the most offensive comment of the night. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this week.
They're going to be picketing tomorrow in front of our houses.
Yeah, they can pick it if they want. I'll be at work. Thank you, guys, for joining me. Thank you, everybody, for supporting all of the shows here on the WrestleNet Radio Podcast Network. We look forward to joining you next week. Just a little hint as we start next week at 181. The first guy we're going to talk about was a member of the Orient Express. But anyway, that one's for you. This one is for you, Sadie. And we'll see everyone next week on the We Can't Wrestle podcast. Have a great week, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Love Sadie.